You're not poor. You just don't use leverage. Is building wealth from scratch really that hard? Let me start by sharing a rather unusual true story. An American programmer named Bob earned a salary of $250,000 a year. However, in 2012, his company noticed something odd. The internal system logged activity from China using Bob's account and password. At first, the company suspected a cyber attack. But after a thorough investigation, the truth came out. There was no hacker. Bob had hired a Chinese programmer for $50,000 a year to do his job for him. This meant Bob barely worked while still pocketing $200,000 annually. Although this behavior violated company policy, if we dig deeper into the logic behind it, we see that Bob was using a tool called leverage. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to follow the channel for more money truths and tips to achieve financial freedom faster. Think Billionaires channel welcomes you all. There are legal and ethical ways to use leverage to build wealth. In physics, Archimedes famously said, "Give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, and I can move the entire earth." In the realm of wealth building, today I'll introduce a book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Its title is The Path to Wealth and Happiness. This book is a valuable resource, offering several leverage tools to help you create wealth. In this book, Naval argues that we should no longer divide people into rich and poor or upper and lower classes. Instead, modern society should be split into two groups: those who know how to use leverage and those who don't. So, who is Naval, and what methods does he offer for building wealth? Who is Naval? Naval was born into a poor family in India and immigrated to the U.S. at age 9. Like many immigrants, his family had no money. As a young boy, he even worked under-the-table jobs at restaurants to make ends meet. Due to the unsafe conditions in New York at the time, his mother restricted him to going only to the library. So, every day, he shuttled between home and the library. At 21, he graduated from Dartmouth, a prestigious university. By 27, he became a founding partner of the venture capital firm August Capital. Naval successfully invested in startups like Twitter and Uber, earning him the nickname the Godfather of Silicon Valley. His greatest skill is creating wealth from nothing. Naval once said that if he lost everything and was left on the streets of any English-speaking country, he believes he could become rich again within 5 to 10 years. He's a thinker who often shares his views on wealth and life on Twitter, quickly gaining attention from young people. These insights were compiled into the book The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Naval's attitude toward wealth. Naval believes that pursuing wealth doesn't conflict with maintaining ethics, and wealth brings you and your family a freer, happier life. For Naval, money and wealth are two distinct concepts. The difference between money and wealth. What's the essence of money? According to Naval, money is a promissory note society gives you when you contribute to it. When you create value for society, society rewards you with this note, money. Understanding that money is just a promissory note, what should we do? Clearly, the only way is to create more value for society to earn more notes. So what is wealth? Wealth is something that generates money even while you sleep. For example, a rental property is wealth because even when you're asleep, it still produces income. Shares in a company are wealth because even while you sleep, the company operates and generates profits. If you write a song and others use it, you receive royalties. That's wealth. An author who writes a book can earn annual royalties without working. That's also wealth. These are examples of income while you sleep, meaning income continues even when you're not actively working. How to find your income while you sleep. The key to wealth. Turn yourself into a product. Naval says that creating wealth is a skill, and if it's a skill, it can be learned. What's the key to this skill? It's turning yourself into a product, which involves two important concepts: yourself and productization. Regarding yourself, the key is finding your unique edge. If you could be easily replaced, you don't have a unique edge. Your unique edge lies in identifying your passions and strengths and developing them into a core competency. At any stage of life, your goal should be to continuously enhance your uniqueness and skills, rather than chasing promotions or raises. So, what is productization? Productization is finding a leverage effect that amplifies the value of your abilities. For example, a consultant who provides daily services to clients and charges fees isn't productizing. But if that person records their knowledge in videos and offers a subscription service for anyone who needs it, that's productization. This is income while you sleep. When pursuing wealth, we need to ask ourselves two questions. First, is this really what I want to do? Second, have I productized it yet? If you can answer these, you'll have the ability to create wealth. Let's break down how to do these two things in detail. Discovering your talent. Discovering your talent is the path to becoming your true self. Naval says that expertise can't be taught, but it can be learned. What does this mean? You can't just take a course and instantly learn how to build wealth. Learning here means practicing, experiencing, and exploring. A mentor can guide you onto the right path, but progress depends on you. For example, wealth-building ideas can spark inspiration and help you spot opportunities, but turning them into reality depends on your reflection and effort. No one knows you better than you do. On the journey to becoming your true self, if you only think about becoming someone else or copying others, your path to wealth will face many obstacles. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, once said that starting a business means not following an existing path. If you see others doing something, don't copy them. You must carve your own path. Every successful startup is an original creation. Even if two companies seem similar and operate in the same industry, their actual work can be entirely different. That's the creativity in business. When choosing a career, the most important thing is to find your passion, not just focus on salary. A high salary means you're trading your time for money, which shows you don't yet have wealth because you lack income while you sleep. Naval suggests paying attention to cutting-edge technology as it brings new products and growth opportunities. Take plastic bags, for example. You might not consider them technology now, but when they were invented, they were a breakthrough in chemical engineering. If you had built a factory to produce plastic bags back then, you'd have struck it rich because no one else could do it. Only you can find your own path. How did a famous entrepreneur start his business? He began by selling plastic flowers, which at the time were considered a high-tech product. This shows that technology has a diffusion process. Once it becomes mainstream and is no longer cutting edge, you can't make money from it anymore. To make money, you need to constantly follow the latest technologies and how they can be applied. How to uncover your personal expertise. You need to dig deep into your field. As you keep digging, you'll eventually create something new. That's your passion. This requires becoming a lifelong learner, constantly thinking and exploring. Ultimately, you'll achieve success. Personal talent always lies at the edges of knowledge, where you discover new things through your inner passion. To become rich, the most critical skill is to be a lifelong learner. Even a PhD professor can't take you to the edge of knowledge. That journey is yours alone. Through solitude and persistence, you'll reach the limits of understanding. Be a brave, solitary individual who keeps thinking and exploring. You'll find your path. Naval says that whether it's wealth, relationships, or knowledge, we must believe in the power of compound interest. Improving by 1% each day leads to significant change over a year. The more books you read, the easier it becomes to read the next ones. That's the power of compound interest. Similarly, In relationships and finance, you need to believe in compound interest and have a long-term vision. The compounding effect isn't obvious in the short term, but over the long term, it can work miracles. So whether you're investing or building friendships, think long-term. Finding yourself and using leverage. After discovering your true self, the next step is to use leverage. There are three main types of leverage for building wealth. Labor leverage. This is the type Bob used in the opening story, or how Tesla's car manufacturing plants operate. It relies on using the labor of many people to amplify a company's wealth. If the cost of outsourcing a task is lower than the income it generates, you can consider outsourcing. Capital leverage. For example, a renowned fund manager in the financial industry can easily raise tens of billions of dollars to manage or invest for others. That's capital leverage. Technology leverage with near-zero replication costs. This is the newest and most important type of leverage. It includes products like code, media, books, recordings, and patents. Microsoft grew because Bill Gates wrote code and turned the Windows operating system into software that could be replicated and modified at near-zero cost. Writing code, books, creating videos, courses, posting on Twitter, or filming videos doesn't require interaction with others, but can amplify the results of your labor. How does a writer make money? A writer can write a book and replicate it infinitely, continuously selling it on the market and generating ongoing income. These are the three types of leverage for building wealth. How to combine leverage with your personal circumstances to find wealth leverage. To find wealth leverage, the first thing is not to chase trends, but to discover your passion. Whatever you do, let your passion be the foundation, not just financial goals. Naval is a devoted fan of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. He says that the fewer desires you have, the less you worry and cling, allowing you to flow naturally. If you do something others are already doing, they can easily replace you. To gain economic benefits, you need to provide things society needs but can't easily find. So, whatever you do, focus on the work itself, not on making money first. Focusing on the work itself is also a clear trait of creating art. Whether it's starting a business, exercising, loving, or making friends, the meaning of life lies in focusing on the process, experiencing, and enjoying the present. The magic is that when you focus on the work itself, you can do it better. Even in making money, you can become the top earner. Naval says that the year he created the most wealth was actually the year he worked the least, put in the least effort, and cared the least about the future. He did most things simply because they were interesting. This allowed him to spend time on projects he found most valuable. By focusing solely on the process, he achieved the best results, amplifying the leverage effect. We've discussed the three types of leverage: labor, capital, and products with near-zero replication costs. Using labor as leverage requires strong management skills. Using capital as leverage demands a high social reputation. Otherwise, raising capital is tough. For the average person, the most critical type of leverage to consider is products with near-zero replication costs, like books, media, films, and code. If you can code and write software, that's leverage like Bill Gates. If you're into the internet, you can create a personal media account. Thanks to the internet, as long as you're the best in your field and can scale the unique content you provide, even if your passion is niche, you can still grow. In the past, people divided humanity into two groups: the educated and uneducated, manual laborers and intellectual workers, or the rich and poor. But Naval divides people into two groups: those who know how to use wealth leverage and those who don't. People with leverage can earn income even without working, thanks to assets that generate money. In contrast, those without leverage have no income if they don't work. Naval emphasizes that if you have expertise, responsibility, and know how to use leverage, the financial reward society gives you will match your value. You'll save a lot of time and become extremely efficient. You won't need to attend meetings just to prove yourself or work hard to be recognized. Instead, you can focus on truly valuable work. The biggest issue with working for someone else is that you're selling your time. You want more money, so you try to prove your time is valuable. Why do office politics and hidden rivalries often arise in companies? Because everyone is trying to prove their worth. However, proving your worth and doing your job well are sometimes unrelated. People like Steve Jobs, why could he still create products like the iPod or iPhone after retiring? Because he didn't need to prove anything to anyone and focus solely on solving problems, entering a positive cycle. When you find leverage, you'll enter such a positive cycle. Without it, you're likely to fall into a negative one. How to achieve the leverage effect? Naval believes two skills are crucial: selling and building. People who excel at building, like CTOs, programmers, or product creators, can generate value. People who excel at selling, like marketers, live streamers, or speakers, can bring products to market. If you have both skills, you can become a CEO. Even if you're not a CEO, just one of these skills is enough to give you some leverage. Naval advises us to make money with intelligence, not time. Some people earn a lot by selling their time, like dentists, lawyers, or soccer players. However, many wealthy athletes don't stay rich just from playing sports, but from managing finances well. For example, Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James invested their earnings in companies. O'Neal was an early angel investor in Google. Naval also stresses the importance of not breaking the law. Many people want to get rich quickly and are willing to break laws, but once you end up in jail, all your previous efforts may be wasted. So be patient and move forward step by step. Even if 99% of your efforts seem wasted, you must persist and wait for the right opportunity. Another critical skill is judgment. Naval explains that CEOs are highly paid because of their judgment. A CEO with slightly better judgment than others can make a huge difference. For example, if two companies each manage $10 billion in assets, and one CEO is just 10% better than the other with a $10 billion scale, that difference equals $1 billion. That's why it's reasonable for CEOs to earn millions annually. If their judgment is slightly worse, a business worth hundreds of billions could lose hundreds of millions. That's why judgment makes us more valuable and is a way to make money with intelligence. You need to set a value for your hourly work. When Naval wasn't yet successful and didn't have much money, he set his hourly rate at $5,000. If he spent an hour on something and felt it wouldn't bring at least $5,000, he wouldn't do it. Instead, he'd hire someone else or delegate the task. Each of us should set a value for our hourly work to focus on tasks with greater impact and higher exponential returns, amplifying the leverage effect further. When choosing an industry to apply wealth leverage, you should consider three big questions. Where will you live? Who will you live with? What will you do for a living? These three questions significantly impact a person's life, so you need to address them. For example, when choosing a place to live, should you pick a political hub or an economic center, a big city, or a small one? You need to think about this question because it relates heavily to your values and outlook on life. Naval's view on retirement. Naval offers a unique definition of retirement. He says retirement is when you no longer have to sacrifice the present to achieve an imagined future. When you can live in the present and fully enjoy each day. That's the state of retirement. Sacrificing the present means you're working just for money without enjoying it. If you still want to do this job at 100 years old, that's retirement. Don't misunderstand retirement as resting without working or learning. If you feel your work doesn't bring suffering or pressure and you truly love it. You've reached the state of retirement, Naval describes. Warren Buffett goes to work each day with joy, as if dancing. He says he doesn't feel like he's working, just enjoying the game of investing. Even in his 90s, he continues working. Outsiders might think he's working hard, but in reality, he's reached the state of retirement Naval talks about. How much money do you need to feel secure? Naval has his own perspective on this. After success, should you keep starting businesses? Naval says he doesn't worry about money, but is cautious about greed. You can have wealth and a relaxed life, but don't exaggerate your desires too much. Naval encourages a minimalist lifestyle. He says you shouldn't engage in meaningless social relationships. Being an unknown person who knows Bill Gates is practically useless to you. Instead, you should strive to create something that makes Bill Gates seek you out, calling to ask, "Who made that? Help me find them." When you create something interesting and valuable, your abilities will attract others who want to connect with you. That's when the relationship truly holds value. Naval's view on happiness. We've talked about wealth. Now let's discuss Naval's perspective on happiness, which is also very inspiring. As mentioned, Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching deeply influenced Naval. He says happiness is a state you don't need to strive to achieve. All troubles stem from desire. As long as you have desires, troubles will arise. According to Naval, a life without a sense of lack is happiness. Sometimes we easily judge that this person is good, that person is bad. But if we always use good and evil to evaluate everything, it causes great harm to ourselves. The world doesn't change because of us, but we can change how we see the world. A common mistake is thinking that achieving something will make life complete. But after years of living, is your mind truly at peace after achieving those things? Or do you keep desiring more? So never think that achieving something will bring satisfaction. The most important thing is the present moment. If you want peace, live peacefully in this moment. Expertise is something you learn. Finally, always remember, expertise can't be taught, but it can be learned. I sincerely hope everyone will live the life they desire. Due to time constraints, I'll end the video here. I share free knowledge on how to become wealthy, an entrepreneur, an investor, and achieve financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, please follow my channel, turn on notifications, and share this video freely. I sincerely wish everyone who liked this video achieves financial freedom soon. As long as you find 1 or 2 helpful quotes in this video that improve your life, I'm already fulfilled.